everyone is just keeping in question if we're living in a simulation. They get stuck on that and puzzled. I know the space-time is a fabric that a lot of people get lost in. They're telling everyone it's to be scared of. You can catch a disease, you can eat a zebra that is spoiled meat. I just look at it as a gaining. Either way you cut it, you need to go out on a limb. It's the quickening that I strive for each day. If you can just make one assertion that is a legitimate part of reality, it can change so many lives. Even if it isn't that great of a legitimacy, I just need to nail at least one each day, because I know I can reach out and get at least one person to see. Why I go outside to film, I just strive myself on being a public figure. I know I'm dealing with wind, the cold. You might have cars passing by that are loud. I look at it as just a game of the players. If sometimes I shoot a ball and I get a blocked shot, I can just get the rebound and put it up again. You know, it's a contention where I find that some of the best opportunities are when the going gets rough, because then you have a chance to juggle with it and be a playmaker. The flagging is oddly similar to the paint that was lost in the wood chips. I'm seeing little pink flags in different assortions, which leads to believe, did the pink flags disintegrate into the colored paint in the wood chips? This isn't so far-fetched, as food coloring can be used to paint snow. If the snow is in a sculpture, it would melt down and be just as if it was a flag melting down into wood-chipped mulch. Who's to say it wasn't, if those flags were meant for a signal? When the colors on the color wheel are mixed together, they turn to white. So instead of not even a photon being a material, which materials are particles, a photon is a particle. So I guess I retract that statement from the photon being a particle of light. I said earlier that material, when you add all the colors together, it turns dark. Not in that case. In that case, it was the material spinning, turning white, instead of having like a whole bunch of different colors of paint, putting it together and it turning black. What is the difference in between it turning white and black? The spinning versus the absorbing. If it's spinning, if it spins quicker and quicker, it'll actually disappear. You'll see this phenomenon on helicopters, as the blades will turn invisible if it goes really fast. Just over my right shoulder is a model of what would look to be hay from an aerial point of view. It's only from a side view where you can see that it is a snow bank. This is an illusion that happens as the snow is melted within the debris weathering over it during massively windy days on end. I'm about to say there were a lot of crude things that could make take a lot of time, but bear with me as it is the cutting edge of logic. There are similar species that have attributes, the characteristics of a scorpion's tail and a spider, a big spider, tarantula, that type, their abdomen when they curl upwards. These are very much similar. The fangs of a spider, you wouldn't expect a spider to have fangs, but it does. Things that are breeding with just having them pop up babies on their own. I don't know the proper name of it, but they are able to do so. That is one way to look at them. What is their purpose and their species archetype are similar over different species. Even though they're not the same, they share characteristics that are very similar, that from a distance it would look like it is that exact same species, just looking at certain strike positions. You can look at the humans as a species. Jesus Christ died for the sins. He in turn bred all Christians, born through that concept of no sin if you're with him. Anything other than that, the characteristics among all of us are one type of looking at it, and the second type is the purpose. Just as the fangs of the spider and the spike tail of the scorpion, they get venom. Probably their whole purpose of their species is to make an anti-venom for them. The whole purpose of Jesus, the whole purpose of humans was to have Jesus so he could have a anti-sin, which is forgiveness through him. So just as the snow mound, there's two ways of looking at it. The thing that's in it, like mass or a whole bunch of stuff that could be caught inside the snow, as it melts, it's released. That is equivalent to anti-venom being made with the venom from the species. The species can breed and pass on genes and more until you get an anti-venom, if that's their whole purpose. The second way of looking at the snowbank is that it has some thermodynamic property. The thermodynamic property being the hay outside and then the snow within it will keep the snowbank longer because the sun isn't hitting the snow, it's being conserved by the hay. And that is why it's taken the shape that it had. This is similar to the coffee. You have hot coffee, then you put ice in it. These snowbanks, perhaps when all the snowbanks are melting, you see that they start gathering unintentionally dirt and crud to put them on top of them to try and survive as long as they can. Maybe Frosty the Snowman was doing this by smoking his pipe, trying to dirty his snow in an attempt to last longer throughout the heat. Going out on a limb that the snow is trying to pass on its genes into the next season by the way that it is melting away. It is breeding with the ground under it, trying to leave its genome, its structure of crystals within the dirt, until the dirt has this recollection of water out of it, circulated through the weather in order to snow again next season for it to fertilize and manifest its genome in that significant to the snow structure and how that's placed within the grime and how grime collects and how the sun is melting it. If you can relate that to how breeding works, how DNA works, because without the DNA, we're no different than a snowbank.